Are you seriously still riding your bike completely stock? Like you just rolled it out of the dealership, signed the paperwork, and thought to yourself, yeah, this is perfect. Nothing needs changing here. That's adorable. Look, I'm not here to make you feel bad. Actually, yes, I am a little bit. Because riding a completely bone stock motorcycle in 2026 is the two-wheeled equivalent of eating plain white rice for every meal. Technically, it sustains you. But brother, there is a whole spice rack sitting right there. Mod number 1, exhaust system. Let's start with the most obvious one, and also the one that's going to make your neighbors absolutely hate you, which honestly is a bonus as far as I'm concerned. We're talking about the exhaust system, and if you think the pipe that came on your motorcycle from the factory represents the pinnacle of what that engine is capable of sounding and performing like, I have some genuinely sad news for you. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't fully appreciate about stock exhausts. Manufacturers are not designing them to make your bike sound incredible or to extract every last drop of power from that engine. They are designing them to pass noise regulations in approximately 47 different countries simultaneously to meet emission standards that get stricter every single year and to cost as little as possible to produce at scale. That stock exhaust is a compromise wrapped in chrome or matte black, depending on what's fashionable that year, and bolted onto your motorcycle as an afterthought. A quality aftermarket exhaust does several things at once. First, and most obviously, it sounds unbelievably good. I'm not talking about obnoxiously loud for the sake of being obnoxious, though I understand the appeal. I'm talking about a deep, full, characterful exhaust note that actually matches the personality of the engine underneath you. There is a reason that the crossplane crank Yamaha R1 sounds like an absolute animal with a full Akrapovic system on it, and it's not magic. It's just the factory muffler no longer strangling the thing to death. Second, you're going to pick up real measurable power gains. Now, I want to be honest with you here because the internet is absolutely littered with people claiming their slip-on exhaust gave them 40 extra horsepower and suddenly their 600 felt like a superbike. That is not what's happening. A slip-on, meaning just the muffler section, is going to give you modest gains, maybe 5 to 10% in some cases, and a much better sound. A full system, meaning headers and all, is where you start seeing genuine mid-range torque improvements and top-end breathing that the stock system was choking out. Pair a full system with an ECU tune, which we're going to talk about later, and now you're actually cooking. Third, and this one surprises people, you're losing weight. A quality full titanium exhaust system from somebody like Akrapovic or Yoshimura or Two Brothers can shed 4 to 8 kilograms off your motorcycle compared to the stock unit. On a bike that already weighs relatively little compared to a car, that is a meaningful reduction. Less weight means better power-to-weight ratio, better handling, and the ability to feel slightly smug about it, which has its own value. What should you buy? Honestly, it depends entirely on your budget and your bike. Akrapovic is the gold standard and priced accordingly. Yoshimura has been making excellent pipes since somewhere around 1970, and they know what they're doing. Two Brothers, SC Project Aero, all excellent options depending on your platform. What I'd steer you away from is the $17 eBay special that's described as a performance exhaust in the listing and arrives in a box that looks like it was packed by someone having a personal crisis. You get what you pay for. This is not the place to cheap out. Mod number 2, suspension upgrades. This is the one that serious riders will tell you about, and newer riders completely ignore until they've been riding for 2 years and suddenly have an awakening. I am begging you not to wait 2 years. Let's talk suspension. Your stock suspension was not set up for you specifically. I want that to really land for a second. The engineers at whatever factory built your motorcycle had to choose spring rates, damping values, and ride height for a hypothetical average rider of average weight doing average things in average conditions. If you are not that exact hypothetical person, and statistically speaking, you're probably not, then your suspension is already a compromise before you've even thrown a leg over the thing. What does bad suspension actually feel like? It feels like your front end diving dramatically under braking. It feels like the rear bouncing around on rough pavement like it's trying to shake you off. It feels like corners that should feel planted and confident, instead feeling vague and slightly terrifying. You might have blamed your tires, or your technique, or some cosmic force working against you, And I'm here to tell you no, it might just be your suspension. The first and most accessible fix is a spring and fluid refresh. If you're riding an older bike and those forks have never been serviced, the oil in there has degraded over time and the springs may have sagged. Fresh fork oil and properly rated springs for your actual body weight is a transformative upgrade that costs a fraction of what people spend on exhausts and makes a dramatically bigger difference to how the bike actually handles. The next level is a full revalve, where a suspension specialist physically modifies the damping shims inside your forks and rear shock to suit your weight and riding style. This is not a weekend garage project for most people. This is a take it to someone who knows what they're doing job, and those people exist and they are worth every penny. Traction Dynamics, Race Tech, Cogent Dynamics. These are names worth knowing. At the top of the food chain, you've got full replacement units, an Öhlins rear shock, a set of cartridge emulators in the forks, a fully adjustable front end. This is where the money starts to get genuinely silly, but if you've ever ridden a bike with properly sorted Öhlins suspension versus a stock setup, you understand why people spend the money. It's not even close. The bike feels like a different machine. Mod number 3, brake upgrades. I want to say something slightly controversial, and I want you to really hear me out before you come for me in the comments. Your brakes, as they left the factory, are probably fine. There, I said it. For normal street riding at normal speeds, most modern motorcycle brake systems are genuinely adequate. But here's the thing. Adequate is not the same as good, and good is not the same as excellent, and when we're talking about the system responsible for keeping you from turning into a headline, maybe excellent is worth pursuing. The single most impactful and cost-effective brake upgrade you can make is switching to braided stainless steel brake lines. The rubber lines that come stock on your motorcycle expand slightly under pressure, which means some of the force you're applying at the lever is being absorbed by the line instead of going to the caliper. Braided lines don't do that. The result is a firmer, more immediate, more confidence-inspiring lever feel that genuinely changes how you interact with the front brake. This is not an expensive modification. It is not a complicated installation for someone mechanically inclined, and the difference is immediately noticeable the first time you grab that lever. Go do this. Do it soon. After lines, brake pads are your next move. Stock pads are designed to last a long time and work in a wide range of conditions. Performance pads from companies like EBC, Galfer, or Brembo are designed to bite harder, manage heat better, and give you more consistent feel under repeated heavy braking. If you do any kind of spirited riding, track days, mountain passes, any situation where you're asking more from the brakes than your average school zone, upgraded pads are a worthwhile investment. Wave rotors, also called pedal rotors, are the next step, and they're also the flashiest one, which I understand is part of the appeal. Beyond looking absolutely fantastic, wave rotors have a slightly larger effective radius at the outer edge, which improves bite, they dissipate heat more efficiently, and they reduce unsprung weight. If you've committed to the full brake upgrade path, wave rotors from Galfer or Braking round out the package nicely. And yes, they look incredible. I'm not going to pretend aesthetics don't matter. They absolutely matter. Mod number 4, handlebar and ergonomic mods. I'm going to say something that took me an embarrassingly long time to fully internalize, and I'm offering it to you free of charge today. Comfort is a performance mod. Read that again if you need to. Comfort is a performance mod. Because when your wrists are aching, your lower back is screaming, and your hands have gone partially numb somewhere around the 90-minute mark of a ride, you are not riding well. You are surviving. And there's a meaningful difference between those two things. The ergonomics that come on your motorcycle from the factory are once again a compromise. The clip-ons on a sport bike are positioned for someone of a specific torso length, arm length, and flexibility. The bars on a cruiser are positioned for the same hypothetical average person we keep running into. And if that hypothetical person is not you, then something about your riding position is off, and it's affecting everything from your comfort to your control inputs to your ability to weight the pegs and the bars appropriately in corners. For sport bike riders, one of the most common and transformative changes is bar end risers, or a set of clip-on replacements that bring the bars up and back toward you. This reduces the aggressive forward lean that sport bikes are famous for, which is great at the track where you're locked in for 20-minute sessions and your core is fully engaged. But on a 2-hour street ride, it will hollow you out. Bringing the bars up even a small amount changes the weight distribution on your wrists and shoulders dramatically. For naked bike and adventure bike riders, the handlebar itself is your biggest lever for change. There is an absolute ocean of handlebar options out there in terms of rise, sweep, and pullback, and finding the right combination for your body is the kind of thing that requires some trial and error. The good news is that handlebars are relatively inexpensive, widely available, and swapping them is something most mechanically confident people can do at home on a weekend afternoon. Don't forget grips while you're in there. Oxford, Renthal, Pro Taper. A quality set of ergonomic grips absorbs vibration, improves your tactile connection to the bars, and costs almost nothing. If you're going to go that deep into the cockpit, spend the extra $20 and sort the grips out at the same time. Your hands will thank you somewhere around hour 3. Mod number 5, tires. This is the one where I am going to be the most emphatic, the most insistent, and the most willing to argue with you in the comments if you disagree, because I feel that strongly about it. Tires are the single most important performance upgrade you can make to any motorcycle. Full stop. No asterisk. I will die on this hill, ironically, probably because I was on bad tires. Here is the fundamental reality of motorcycle dynamics that I want you to sit with for a moment. Every single thing your motorcycle does, accelerating, braking, cornering, all of it, happens through 2 contact patches that, when you really look at them, are roughly the size of your palm each. That's it. That is the entire physical interface between your machine and the road. Everything else is just suggestions until those 2 patches of rubber either grip or don't grip the pavement. The tires that came on your motorcycle from the factory are, and I genuinely cannot stress this enough, almost certainly not the best tires available for your bike. Manufacturers fit what are called OEM tires, and while these are decent in many cases, they are selected based on a combination of cost, availability, and a general purpose performance envelope that tries to cover a lot of different riders and conditions. They are not necessarily the optimal tire for the way you specifically ride. So what should you be running? This is where you need to be honest with yourself about what kind of rider you are. If you're doing mostly street riding with the occasional spirited run, a sport touring tire like the Michelin Road 6 or the Pirelli Angel GT is going to give you phenomenal grip, excellent longevity, and confidence-inspiring performance in the wet. If you're riding mainly on track days or very aggressive canyon runs, a hypersport tire like the Michelin Power RS or the Bridgestone RS11 is going to give you substantially more grip at the cost of longevity. You will wear them out faster. You will not care because the way the bike feels on a proper hypersport tire in a canyon is worth every penny of the replacement cost. What you absolutely should not do is run tires that are old, cracked, or well past their wear indicators because you're trying to squeeze the last few miles out of them. This is the exact wrong place to be frugal. Buy good tires, mount them correctly, check your pressures every single time you ride. This is not negotiable. Mod number 6, ECU flash and fuel tuner. Alright, we are now officially in slightly more advanced territory, and I want to acknowledge that up front. This mod is not for everyone, and it is absolutely not something you should rush into without doing your homework. But if you want to understand what your engine is actually capable of, what the factory deliberately left on the table in the name of emissions compliance, warranty concerns, and market segmentation, then an ECU flash or a fuel tuner is where that conversation happens. Modern motorcycles are extraordinarily sophisticated computers on wheels. The ECU, the engine control unit, is managing fueling, ignition timing, throttle response, rev limits, and a whole cascade of other variables in real time, thousands of times per second. And manufacturers program those parameters conservatively, sometimes very conservatively. They're protecting themselves legally, they're meeting regulatory requirements. They're making sure the bike runs acceptably on the worst pump gas in the most extreme ambient temperatures. None of that is optimized for you, riding your specific bike, in your specific conditions, with your specific modifications. An ECU flash rewrites those parameters. Done properly by a reputable tuner with your specific bike on a dyno, a flash can improve throttle response dramatically, eliminate the flat spots in the power delivery that many modern fuel-injected bikes suffer from, remove the fuel cut that kicks in at the top of certain gears, and in some cases add meaningful power, particularly when combined with an exhaust and intake mod that's already improving airflow. The most approachable entry point for most riders is a plug-and-play fuel tuner like a Power Commander or a Bazaz unit. These devices sit in line with your existing fuel injection system and allow you to adjust fueling without modifying the base ECU map. There are preloaded maps available for most common bike and exhaust combinations, meaning you don't necessarily need a custom dyno session to see improvement, although a custom tune is always the better outcome if the budget allows. What I want to caution you against is going into this carelessly. A bad tune or an improperly configured fuel controller can make your bike run worse, not better. Find someone who knows what they're doing. Ask around in the community for your specific platform. Read the forums. And if someone offers to tune your bike for $40 on a Tuesday afternoon in a car park, maybe keep looking. Mod number 7, heated grips and comfort electronics. I can already hear some of you preparing your response. You're going to say, Carl, heated grips? That's your 7th pick? Where's the quick shifter? Where's the traction control delete? Where's the Power Commander for the turbo kit? I'm definitely not building in my apartment. And to that, I say, with the greatest possible respect, you are thinking about this wrong. Because here's a truth that took me a while to fully accept. The best mod you can make to your motorcycle is anything that keeps you riding more. And for a significant portion of the riding population in a significant portion of the world, cold hands are the thing that ends rides early, keeps bikes in the garage when they should be on the road, and shortens the riding season by weeks or even months on either end. Heated grips solve that problem, and they solve it completely. A quality set of heated grips, Oxford Hot Grips, Koso, or even the OEM factory fit options that more manufacturers are now offering, transforms the experience of riding in cold weather from a miserable exercise and suffering through numb fingers into something that is genuinely still enjoyable. You will ride earlier in the spring, you will ride later in the fall, you will go out on that crisp October morning that would have previously kept you parked, and you will have an absolutely brilliant time. And while we're in this territory, let's talk about the broader category of comfort electronics, because the industry has produced some genuinely game-changing options in recent years. A quality Bluetooth communicator system, Sena or Cardo being the market leaders, means music, navigation cues, and communication with your riding group without taking your hands off the bars or your eyes off the road. A USB or 12-volt charging port means your phone, GPS, or camera battery never dies mid-ride. A quality phone mount with wireless charging integration means navigation that doesn't require you to pull over and squint at your phone. None of these things are glamorous. None of them are going to make your bike faster in a straight line or shave time off your track lap. But collectively, they make the experience of actually riding your motorcycle better on every single ride, and isn't that the entire point? We are not riding to sit in the garage and admire the thing. We are riding because it is the best feeling in the world, and anything that lets us do more of it is, by definition, a performance upgrade. I will also put in a word here for a quality windscreen if your bike supports one. This is particularly relevant for naked bike riders and adventure tourers. Managing wind blast on a longer ride is genuinely exhausting in a way that's hard to appreciate until you've experienced a well-designed screen and felt the difference. An MRA or PWG adjustable screen is not exciting. It is not the kind of thing you post on social media. But 3 hours into a motorway run, you will be deeply personally grateful that you bought it. And that, my beautifully two-wheeled friends, is the list. 7 mods. An exhaust that makes the machine sound like it means business, suspension that actually works for your body and your riding, brakes that give you real confidence when you need it most, ergonomics that keep you comfortable enough to actually ride well, tires that are the foundation of literally everything your bike does, an ECU tune that lets the engine breathe the way it was always meant to, and comfort electronics that keep you out there doing the thing you love, regardless of what the weather is doing. Now look, you don't have to do all of these at once. In fact, please don't. Your bank account and your significant other will never forgive you, and I cannot be held responsible for the consequences. Pick the one that addresses the biggest gap in your riding experience right now and start there. Tires if you've never upgraded them, suspension if the bike feels sketchy, exhaust if riding stock is breaking your spirit. If you want to talk through any of this with people who've actually done it, come join the Discord. Link is below. And if you got a modification that changed your riding life that I didn't mention here, put it in the comments. I read them. All of them. Even the ones where you tell me I'm wrong, which frankly some of you do with tremendous enthusiasm, and I respect it. I'll catch you in the next one. Fact. The author of this script has never once successfully installed a grip heater without burning himself on the soldering iron at least twice. Some things never change. Goodbye.